This is the project today, guys. So this little one burner Coleman stove, model 505B, Easy Light. This has been pretty much a bulletproof little stove for me for many years. And just recently I went to use it and it didn't work. The pump just wouldn't pressurize the tank anymore. So I couldn't use it. So today we're going to rebuild this thing. I went and got some parts, and I got a few baggies of parts here. So I'm saying rebuild because we're not going to, and specifically it's going to be a rebuild, not a restoration, right? This is not going to end up being a showpiece or a bookend or something like that. I'm going to continue using it. So we're going to take it apart. We're going to clean it. I've never had this thing apart. Once before, when I first purchased it, you know what? I'm going to tell you the backstory on this thing. This stove here, I purchased in a thrift store 20 plus years ago for $6. And at that time, the pump, when I purchased it, wouldn't pressurize. And I ended up buying a new plunger that goes at the end of this rod here. I'll show that later when we take it apart. But I replaced that plunger, and it was a few dollar item at the time. Worked great ever since. But just recently, it died again, so I know exactly what's going on. The plunger, the little cup seal at the end of this pump rod is worn out, or maybe gone brittle, or something like dried up, something like that. But I want to take it apart a little bit further and give it a good buff job. Get some of the crud and some of the surface rust that's starting to build. Yeah, right there. So you got some, just to clean it up. I'm not going to repaint or anything like that because it's going to get scratched up and banged up anyways getting used. Because quite honestly, I'm not convinced that I got my $6 worth out of it yet. So yeah, that's the plan. So I'll bring the camera down. Let's start tearing this guy apart and see what the internal parts are like. If there's any O-rings or anything like that, I don't know what I'm going to find in there. I've never had this thing apart. But we're going to fix that plunger and see what else needs attention while I'm at it. And we'll just give her a bit of a cleanup job. And after we're all done, we're going to fire it up and see how it works. Hopefully it works just as good as it did for the last 20 years that I've been using it on and off. I know, I said I wasn't going to repaint it. Okay, so a little bit of fast forward here today. Look at that, eh? I know, I said I wasn't going to paint it, but I kind of got carried away with the wire wheel, and one thing led to another, and I ended up getting this hammered finish paint. At least that's what they call it, hammered finish. I like it. I like the way it turned out. I'm glad I changed my mind and decided to paint it. So I got the tank painted, looks nice and fresh. I got some stainless steel screws to replace the original screws. So I'll change them up for stainless. And here's the plunger that sparked the whole rebuild process. And this cup it's not very pliable. It should be like a soft rubber. And actually there's a spot where there was a crack when I was looking at it. There was a crack in there. Oh, there it is. Right there. Oh, there's a couple of them. As I'm opening it up, it's cracking more and more. So I have a replacement part for that. And originally, when I changed up this plunger 20 years or more ago, the original one was made out of leather, and led me to believe that this stove was really early, being that it had a leather seal instead of a rubber seal. And when I went to replace for the replacement parts, and I'll show you, I grabbed multiples. I got a little baggie of parts here right from Coleman. And to my surprise, the replacement cup is made out of leather. Now, in addition to the replacement cup seal, I got some new wicking material. And off camera, I took compressed air and blew it out of the pipe, make sure it was clear of any debris or any gunk or anything that was in there. Stainless steel screws, I think I already showed that. So we're pretty much ready for the reassembly process. So I'm gonna reposition the camera, and we'll start putting it back together. Well, there it is in all its beauty. A couple of little hiccups where I had to take something back apart because I was putting it together in the wrong sequence. But overall, everything went back together quite well. And the next step now is to fire it up. Let's gas this baby up, fire it up, and see how it burns. Well, there it is, guys. It's a little bit of a success deal going on here. You get that nice blue flame down there. That's when it's running optimal. This thing is ready for another 20 years of use. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope you had fun doing this project with me. I sure had fun doing it. A bit of a pastime, and my gear is ready to go. Guys, thanks for coming out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.